Kasi medyo meron lang ako itatanong ano, sa mga naging commissioner ng BOC. Kasi pag may mga nakakalusot no, sa atin, katulad ng binabanggit ni Mark Taguba, ay nag-i-issue tayo ng ano, no, di ba? Minsan hinahabol natin yan, di ba? Nag-i-issue tayo ng parang letter of authority para doon po sa mga illegal goods na nire-raid natin sa mga warehouses. Is this a correct assumption? Uh, Kay Mr. La Peña and Mr. Paldon, you can answer both.
Yes, sir. The commissioner is granted by the new law, Customs Modernization and Tariff Act of 2016, to issue search warrant as far as imported commodities are concerned. So
Yes.
the customs can issue search warrants and confiscate smuggled commodities. Your
Yeah,
Honor.
okay. So, may mga ini-issue tayong letter of authority. Tapos, kapag nakita natin na yun nasa mga warehouses na yon are illegal goods, nag-i-issue tayo ng warrant to seize and to destroy. Ganun ba ginagawa ng Bureau?
You can confiscate the commodity outrightly, Your Honor. And depending on the type of commodity, let's say in my time, sir, if I may, the importation of fake cigarette seals that were actually used for local manufacturers in their cigarettes is one of the powers of the customs to seize and confiscate commodities.
So-
Those are just ones of the
So yung mga confiscated na mga goods, ano, yung mga illegal goods na nako-confiscate because of the warrant that are being issued by the BOC, how can we be sure of na hindi yung po bumabalik sa market na lahat ng mga goods na nako-confiscate ay napapapunta po doon muli sa BOC or ito po ay talagang dinidestroy? What are the parameters being undertaken by the Bureau para yung kinonduct po nating raid through the letter of authority on raiding that warehouse where the illegal goods are being kept? Anong assurance ng taong bayan na hindi po ito bumabalik doon sa black market, kumbaga, sa mga suki buyer na pinalusot? Kasi usually, di ba, katulad nung sinasabi natin sa mga illegal drugs na yan, di ba, minsan hindi naman talaga sinusunog lahat eh. Yung hindi naman dinidestroy lahat, di ba? So what are the parameters?
the disposal of some commodities, the authority to dispose it or how to proceed after the confiscation is no longer under the authority of the commissioner. It goes to the secretary level, and
Secretary of
of finance. That's where the BOC is under. So for like perishable items, talagang let's say sibuyas, nabulok na yan doon sa pier, pinoprocess pa yung disposal niyan. So there's specific parameters on how these commodities are being disposed of. But for the recyclable, let's say for the cigarette, hindi mo yan basta-basta lang itapon kasi yung shelf life time niyan is mahaba. So even the highest government meron siyang power to address how these confiscated commodities are to be disposed of.
Mr.
So
Chair.
hindi lang talaga commissioner lang, Your Honor.
So, dito sa mga raids that are being or were being conducted noon before, meron na bang naging successful yung mga kinasuhan natin? Kasi in the first place, dapat, di ba, kung nag-raid tayo, tapos na-confiscate natin yung mga illegal goods sa isang warehouse. So, dahil nga, nandun siya sa warehouse, illegal goods siya, meron na bang nakasuhan sa BOC? Because nakalusot eh. Lumabas eh. Nakarating sa warehouse eh. And we have numerous, marami tayong mga raids that were conducted that was issued by the commissioner ng letter of authority para mag-search ng mga illegal commodities. So, nakita natin at napatunayan natin na maraming mga illegal goods. So, meron bang kinasuhan sa BOC because of that? Sige, sir.
Your Honors, during my time, the biggest, let's say, success the BOC has achieved was the payment of 33 billion pesos to the Philippine government as a result of our raid.
Commissioner, yung tinatanong ko po, kung merong kinasuhan sa BOC, kasi nakalusot eh. Halimbawa,
Yes, sir.
kotse,
Yes, sir.
nakalusot. May kinasuhan po ba?
Yes, sir. Yung Mighty Cigarette, we raided that, we filed a case, and they settled to pay the government 33 billion pesos. That's the biggest during my time.
Aside from that, kasi siguro we need to find out, no? During your time, during ng mga BOC natin, na commissioner, Mr. Chairman, siguro alamin po natin kung ilan po yung inisyo nilang letter of authority or yung mga kinonduct nilang mga search at mga raids. Tapos makita natin, ilang successful raids po doon, ang nagkaroon ng doon sa mga empleyado natin sa BOC na nanagot dahil doon po sa mga naging successful na raids. So I think it's high time that we audit the letter of authority that was being issued by the commissioners. Kasi makikita po natin yung mga issuance nila ng letter of authority doon sa mga raid na kinonduct nila. At kung successful ito, ilan ang nanagot sa BOC ng mga empleyado. So, Mr. Chairman, I think in the next hearing, we will be asking the present, yung BOC, sino ba BOC natin ngayon? Sino nga ba? Si Rubio, to submit to us yung mga letter of authorities that was issued by the different administration. And at the same time, makita din po natin yung warrant nung cease and destroy, yung WSD na sinasabi. Kasi nga po, kasi dito rin po tayo nalulusutan eh, yung mag-i-issue sila ng warrant to cease and destroy. Pero ang dinedestroy nila, tama, si Nick Paldon na depende. Kung perishable, maaaring bulok na. Pero yung mga hindi, yung mga dinedestroy ba nila, talagang 100% dinedestroy nila? Yun ang gusto natin malaman. Kung naglilinis na rin lang tayo sa gobyerno, linisin na po natin lahat. So, yun lamang po, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Balik na po natin kay Chairman
Thank
Ace.
you, Congressman Fernandez. Yes, Congressman Abante.
I just would like to continue on asking the question on the TARA, no? Sapagkat, Luca, we have been talking about the TARA system nung pang isa eh. Pero hanggat pinag-uusapan natin yan, at hindi natin talaga natutukoy yan para hihinto yan, wala rin kwenta ito pinag-uusapan natin. So gusto kong kausapin, yung pagkatapos ng Commissioner Peldon, si Commissioner La Peña, di ba? So Commissioner La Peña, nung panahon mo, meron pa rin TARA system.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Chairman. Yes, there was. In fact, before I assumed as the Commissioner of Customs,
Pakitapit po yung microphone.
before I assumed as the Commissioner of the Bureau of Customs, I heard the privilege speech of Senator Ping Lacson. And the TARA system was mentioned by him, which is existing in the Bureau of Customs.
Sino po ito? Sino po?
Senator Lacson, Your Honor.
Now, I'd like to know, Commissioner La Peña and Commissioner Peldon, that the TARA system, if it continues, it is a big loss to the revenues of this government. Am I right?
That's right, Your Honor. In
So,
fact,
what happened in your own turf?
yeah, in my time, what I did was, of course, that's one basis ng aking action, plan of action in the Bureau of Customs. But among others, I met the Association of Importers and talked to them kung ano ba yung mga problema nila. And that is one of those mentioned. But among those, aside from that, the other problem is the slow facilitation or the slow processing of the papers. In fact, it's because of the slow processing of the papers that the importer go to those people who processes their documents. And their goods or their when it is delayed, there is a penalty which is called the yung dimurahe, which is 10,000 per day. Ang dimurahe niyan, Your Honor, Mr. Chairman. That's why yung mga importers talagang bumibigay even without asking. The TARA system actually is a facilitation fee na kung nagbigay ka, aalalayan yung iyong goods. That's why what I did as a solution is after talking with all concerned, number one is I acted on the AMO, Accreditation Management Office, because that is the first place where corruption happens.
Pero Commissioner Peña, nung panahon ninyo, andun pa rin yung classification ng red lane, ng green lane, andun pa rin.
There was,
There was.
Your Honor.
But you did not do anything to remove it, did you?
Well, actually, Your Honor, it's necessary. The green lane has to be resorted to because kung hindi mo isi-segregate yung mga cleared na, mahaba yung pila ng mga container van na yan, container truck. Magkakaroon ng ng traffic in the process. That's why
So what's the difference between the red lane and the green lane?
the green lane is cleared already, Your Honor. The red lane, these are the one that is subjected to a more strict scrutiny, passing through the X-ray.
Tama po yung sinabi ni Mark Taguba na pag nasa green lane ka, hindi na binubusan yung container, hindi na masyadong ina-examine yan. Yan ay talagang diretso na, ganun po ba?
That's right, Your Honor.
Therefore, talagang hindi mo mawala ang korupsyon, Mr. La Peña, because of that. Am I right?
Yeah, yes, Honor. But there are ways how to address that situation. And as I have said, we have to talk with the personnel, customs personnel, to move faster, to act faster on the papers of the importers. And I have a study, a plan. Actually, which I have started already, the automation of customs. And if we automate, that will reduce the processing of papers, Your Honor, and that will address the corruption actually that has been prevailing in the Bureau of Customs. And there will be less human factor or human intervention. I saw those automated customs in the Kota Kinabalu customs facilities. You cannot see brokers in that area, but the container vans passes through na walang intervention, but they are subjected to X-rays. So it is you can collect more revenues. Siguro yung if we will go automated, the cost of automation is baka isang taon lang yan, mababawi na yung X-ray machine na yan o yung automation, I mean. So I last hearing, Your Honor, when I was here, I mentioned about the automation in the Bureau of Customs because I feel very strongly that will be the solution dito sa problema sa Bureau of Customs.
The Commissioner, both of you know, the digitalization of the agency like the Bureau of Customs was started during the time of President Ramos. I'd like to find out from you, what happened to the digitalization of the agency? Because, as you have said, that is one way to curb corruption, to digitalize the Bureau of Customs. We were talking with the Bureau of Internal Revenue chairman today, and he told me that that is one way to curb corruption. Digitalize mo ang agency ng ating pamahalaan. So, ano po ang ginawa ninyo? Uunahin ko si Commissioner Peldon. what have you done as far as digitalizing the Bureau of Customs?
During my time, sir, in fact, in the previous administration, there was an allocation of 400 million pesos to computerize customs. But it was subject to court litigation. So it was never implemented during my time because the 400.
Commissioner, because there are some people there in customs who are actually against it. So they can continue the corruption. Am I right?
It can be assumed that way, sir.
But only assume that way, Commissioner Peldon. It is true. Di ba? That's the reason why merong court case dyan, napatagal yung digitalization dyan. Hanggang ngayon, Commissioner De Peña, how many percent of the Bureau of Customs are actually digitalized
Well,
during your time?
yeah, in my time, Your Honor, the offices have computers, are computerized. But I am referring to the computerization of the importation process, Your Honor. And as I've said, we have started the planning of this computerization of the Bureau of Customs. Although, well, I was not able to finish it because I was transferred to TESDA. I became the Director General of TESDA. But just the same, that project was being piloted operationally tested, Your Honor, but it did not push through anymore. I agree with you that maybe within the customs do not like the computerization, the automation. That's why it should come from the national government, from the, for example, from the custom, from the Congress, and let it happen. Let the automation be done, completed, and implemented in Bureau of Customs. 1 year only that can be yung cost ng automation will be mababawi na yon sa revenue na
Mr. Chair,
makukulikta.
perhaps one of the bills that the Quadcom could be able to look into is the bill to actually digitalize agencies in government that are very much involved, especially in the issue of corruption, Mr. Chair. Pero itong si Mr. Taguba, ikaw ba ay dumating pa sa time ni Commissioner La Peña o kay Commissioner Peldon lamang?
Kay Commissioner Fildon lang po.
Okay. So, let me ask you, no, in the truest sense of the word. Now, you tell me, sapagkat Commissioner Peldon, you have admitted that you were not actually in control of everything. Ibig sabihin, yung pag-release ng mga containers is not up to you anymore. So, director na lang, di ba?
The law specifically said that that's the role of the collectors in the 38 ports nationwide.
Or, hindi mo na alam yon.
The details of those packing lists, because in one port alone, there are 2,500 containers coming daily. So talagang napakarami. That's why the new law delineate the role of the commissioner and the collectors nationwide. Because commissioner cannot go to that 38 ports and inspect those
What
commodities
does
coming
the
in.
custom police do? Do you have enough policemen in the customs branch that are actually looking into it? Hindi ba sila ang dapat managot diyan?
I think just like the other government agencies, we lack manpower as far as the customs police is concerned. Of the 38 ports, I think the manpower to do that is not enough to really seal the borders as far as importation of contraband is concerned, Your Honor.
Chair, I'd like to make a request or a motion that we also invite the director of the customs police to shed light in this corruption, Mr. Chair.
Yes, okay. COMSEC, you are directed to send the invitation to the customs, the head of the customs police,